Huh? We're gonna make a film. You want to get in on it? See, I gotta tell you a poem first. Well, the weather is good, or the weather is not. Well, the weather is cold, or the weather is hot. Whatever the weather, we weather the weather, whether we want to or not. That's what the fishermen say in the morning, okay? Do you remember it now?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Yeah, let's go.
Hi, Leroy. My name's Christina, and I'm from Littleview, Ohio. I was just wondering what it was like growing up on the island, how you got your start in fishing, if it was always what you wanted to do, and just kind of a little bit more about you. Thanks so much.
Okay, I was born here on the island about 79 years ago. Grew up in a family of 10, and at that time, it was during the war years. There wasn't many cars around, so most of the traveling that we did was by boat. Growing up here was very rural. The whole school combined, which is just up over the hill from where we are now, comprised of probably 130 students, all 12 grades. So it wasn't a big island. Population was small, and a lot of big families at that time. A family of 6, 8, 10, 12 kids was common. We were taught as children that everybody worked for the group. It wasn't you went and earned your money and put it in your pocket. Everybody worked for the good of everybody. We grew up pretty much working the water. The water was our mainstay, you might say. There were stone quarries on the island at the time, 2 of them. There was also a sardine factory that was going full force. Scalloping was a winter project, and most of the lobster fishermen didn't go in the wintertime. Most of them stopped around November, and then they switched over and went scalloping. The lobster wasn't worth a whole lot when I was a young boy. The first lobsters I caught, I got 30 cents a pound for them. And the problem was, it was a hard job to ship them we were in the northern sector of the country, and the population was in the middle and southern part of the country, like Boston, New York, and those areas. So shipping a lobster to that area was very difficult. And later years, the refrigerated trucks came along and changed the whole scenario of the lobster and the value of it. Nobody had outboards. The lobster boats didn't have cabins on them as such. If you see an old picture of in the harbor with the lobster boats, most of them had what they call make and break engines. We called them putt-putts. You could hear them in the morning. They'd be putt, 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 going. They didn't go very far. A big gang of traps was like 75 traps. But lobsters weren't worth a lot, so nobody really put a lot of effort into it. They did other things to sustain their livelihood. Well, we worked year-round daylight hours. If it was 3:30 in the morning, it was daylight, we was up. And we worked till it got dark. That's how we grew up, and we never thought nothing of it. Was it hard work? Yeah, but it made us what we are. We learned to be self-sufficient. We learned how to read what was around us on the beaches. And when we went climbing, we knew how to dig clams. We knew how to find them, scallops, mussels. All of these things were important staples when we grew up. So we learned to build our own traps. They was all wood at that time. They were the half rounds, and We learned how to work on the house. We learned how to work on the barn. We had animals. We learned how to butcher animals. We had pigs, chickens, ducks, geese, goats. So we was avid hunters. We could hunt. There was a lot of land that wasn't claimed. You might say was people owned it, but they didn't care. They moved away and just left the land there. So we could pick a lot of berries, a lot of blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. We could pick apples, put them in a barrel in the basement, and we had apples all winter. There was never a shortage of something to do. Now, we always had something to do. As you elevated in age, you elevated in responsibilities. So that by the time you was an adult, you were self-sufficient. You could take care of yourself. Long before that. You never forgot the lessons because they were hard lessons and you stayed at it till you learned it. Yeah, it was a learning experience to grow up here as a young boy. And that was, 65 years ago. I hope I've given you an insight into the way we grew up. We are working through the Maine Center for Coastal Fisheries. We're trying to spread some knowledge to the people that wonder what's involved in how the people in these areas make their living and what's involved in it. So if you have any questions, for heaven's sake, call in. There's no dumb questions, okay? You might think it is, but we don't. To call, you call 224-58-LEROY and ask your question, okay?
That's it. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Wrapping her up.